Now, well, that was it today from Parliament for 2019, last day of sittings. Off for the holidays. The Morrison government finished with bad news, though, today. The economy really is slowing, and I'd be worried. Obviously, you are worried too, because retail sales growth last month, big fat zero. No growth at all, even after the tax cuts and the cuts in interest rates, and plus the addition of so many new immigrants. No growth at all. People are just too scared now to spend. But the government did finish with a spurt of activity. Yesterday it scrapped the Medevac laws, obviously, managed to get them scrapped to toughen our borders. Today the Prime Minister said is also shaking up the public service over the holiday period, cutting the number of government departments from 18 to 14. But that really is more about merging departments than actually cutting them. For instance, the Agriculture Department under this shake-up is going to merge with the Environment Department.
And I am ensuring the Australian public service is lean and mean and focused on the job of delivering for Australians.
The Prime Minister has sacked 5 departmental heads and centralised power in the Australian government bureaucracy.
Joining me is a panel, former Labor Minister Graham Richardson, now Sky News host, and Campbell Newman, former Liberal Premier of Queensland. It's terrific to see you two learned gentlemen. It was a great year for the government, Graham, because it won the unwinnable election back in May. How would you sum up the year for the voters, though, for people like the viewers, the people that the government's actually got to confront in a couple of years' time?
Well, I think they're happy when they don't read about government, when they don't hear about it, when things are just quiet and ordinary and normal. And that's what's happened. You know, Morrison's chloroforming everybody, and I think that's exactly what he set out to do. He doesn't want to be exciting. He just wants to be a manager. He wants us all to be relaxed and comfortable, as John Howard might have once suggested, and I think he's done a pretty good job of so doing.
Well, relaxed and comfortable in terms of political drama, Campbell, but I just wonder whether people are feeling relaxed and comfortable when they look at their bills and their pay packets.
Look, first I think Richo's put his finger on it in terms of the politics. But yeah, look, I've been saying for quite a long time, in fact I was saying it prior to the election, that I thought the economy was in bad shape and that I actually thought it would be a challenge, probably a bigger strategic challenge for the election. It didn't happen as quickly, it didn't hit as hard, as early as I thought. I'm in business, I'm in commercial property, I deal with retail tenants in my business and they are hurting and they are the barometer of what's going out there in Middle Australia. And I think the government has only worked out in more recent months that the stuff they might have been getting from the bureaucracy wasn't right and there's some real challenges to deal with. And they really got to move very quickly now because a lot of time has been lost to really stimulate this economy.
Oh, I think that's right. I think that's right. Graham, back to your point about Morrison. I will credit you that in political performance, I think he's looked good. I'm not sure that he's won the love of voters. I don't know what there is there. That I don't think he's loved like a hawkie or something like that, although that's once in a generation. What's your assessment? I loved your interview last night with him. What's your assessment of how Morrison has performed?
Well, I see, Morrison is not an inspiring leader. He's not going to get everybody to stand up and applaud in their seats, you know, and say, wow, I just heard one of the great speeches of all time. No one will ever say that about Scott, but I don't think he sets out to get people to do that. I think where he succeeds is in looking like, sounding like, and actually being the bloke next door, being the bloke you think you can confide in, that you think you can rely on, and you know he'll take out the garbage if you can't do it. That's the kind of guy he is, and I think Australians rather like him. They'll never love him because he doesn't have that extra oomph that a hawk had. But as you say, that's once in a lifetime. You couldn't expect him to have that. No other Labor leaders had it either.
Yeah, well, I think that's yeah, there's a lot in that. I'm trying to think of a counterexample. I'm struggling here. Your view there, Campbell? I think Morrison is not so much the guy next door. He seems to me is much more focused on, I'm going to get it done, right? And I think voters like someone who seems in charge.
Look, I think he's had obviously a really good year. It stands to reason because he won the election and surprised the heck out of a whole lot of people. You know, and look, you know, look, I actually am in awe of the PM because I think he does go about things very cleverly in terms of the politics, and he's not scaring people. And I think people, as Richo was saying, they do like him, and that is because he sounds and acts like that guy next door. Absolutely, that's right, again, on the money. I think the big challenge for the government, though, is action. And there is a building sort of narrative out there in commentariat land, and potentially that will bite with the voters in 2020 about where are things. I mean, take this reorganisation of the public service. I know you want to talk about that. You know, like, it's 6 months since the election. And they say they've been working on it. Maybe they've got a plan. But you know what? There's a lot of time in this term has already been taken. If you want to get change, if you want to get results in government, you've really got to get cracking. And there are other examples we could talk about where they haven't actually really got stuck into it.
Let me stick with that particular one, Campbell. Graham, a big reorganisation of public service. I mean, should I care? Do I care? I mean, it's a worry for maybe one or two of the, what is it, 5 top public service bosses are going to lose their jobs. How does it affect me or you?
Probably not very much. I think I think Hawke did it once. There was a big swathe of departments were cut. I'm not sure it made much difference then. I doubt it'll make much difference now. But it makes it look as though you're doing something, so people are happy, and it keeps people busy, chopping and changing. But does it achieve anything? I mean, it seems to me that merging agriculture and environment, as an example, is not the cleverest move. I would have thought. I think those two departments would do well to remain separated, because too often they're going to have competitive arguments. I'd rather see those two ministers in there arguing than really have the same brief before them.
You know, Graham, this is where I'm going to disagree with you, because what I'm kind of hoping is the agenda here is that they have that argument inside the department, with the brief being the environment always loses. It must be agriculture first. That's my private hope, but let us see.
I can't share that one with you. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. Well, you're the bloke. I remember you had
I'm with you. I'm with you, Andrew.
Franklin, thank you, mate. The Franklin Dams, man, I'm not going to listen to on this one.